Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Trail podcast, brought to you by Jester Wallace Productions. I am one of your hosts, the Jester portion of Jester Wallace Productions. And this gentleman, I always get this wrong, right over here is the Wallace portion of this production. What's happening, Austin?
What's going on, my friend?
You know, a lot and a little.
We have been a little busy this past week.
Yeah. Before we get into that, we do need to talk about the lovely Hiker Metals, our brand partner this year for 2023. Let me pull up the screen and see if I can make it work.
So Wim has been like all over it with cranking out some new metals. So I know he just came out with the Florida Trail. And then he's got some pretty exciting international stuff coming out. I think there's an Iceland. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Icelandic trail that's on there.
Oh, there's the Florida Trail. They're going by now.
Yep. And so so I just the metals are just so odd. Like each one is so unique. I'm going to be real honest. It makes me like, we all have like that list of trails we want to do in our life, whether it's the big three or whether it's, something international or whether it's something local. And it's like, here's all these trails I didn't even really know existed or routes that I didn't know existed. And now there's a metal form. So I feel like I have to go now.
I know. I just want to buy them all.
Like the Smokies 900, like there's, that for me, the Smokies 900 will be like a lifetime achievement thing. Like, if I'm pushing my walker through the finish line, that's a win. But what a beautiful the Smokies 900 miler, especially that metal is beautiful and has so much meaning. So that particular metal is the result of our collaboration with Miss Nancy East and the Haywood County Search and Rescue team, and so a portion of the proceeds from that metal go to the Western North Carolina Wilderness Safety Fund, which is a fund specifically for supporting the Haywood County Search and Rescue team with all of the things that they need, whether it's equipment, training, and it goes directly to them. And so that is who we have chosen to support for the proceeds from our film, Safe and Found. So even if you're like me, where the Smokies 900 is kind of like a lifetime bucket list thing, you don't have to wait till the end to get it. In fact,
no, Wim is not checking off the list to see if you finished anything.
There's no guy with like reading glasses looking down at the list of people that have completed, seeing if they.
No, you look good when you do that, Austin. Yeah, you just gave us a picture of what you look like about 15 years from now.
Yeah, 15. Ooh, easy.
So Wim is amazing, and right before we came on, I told Austin I had some props, and
you had visual aids. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, and I always try to figure out, how to introduce our guest that we have on for the evening, and one of the ways I'm going to introduce, and this might spark something in Heidi's memory. When I got this medal, I was fresh off of the Wonderland Trail. And me and a couple of my girlfriends, we had just completed the Wonderland Trail. We were like pumped and, high. It was amazing. And we had like 10 days worth of sun on the trail. It never rained on us on the Wonderland Trail, which is incredible. And, the very next day it thunderstormed, it rained, and we were just hooping and hollering. And when we got back into town, and that was 2019, that is actually when I met our guest later that fall, who we are going to introduce here shortly. So there's a little clue, there's a little twist. I don't know if Heidi knows what I'm going to show next. But before we get into that, Austin, you got to tell everybody what we've been through the last 5 days, which is absolutely amazing. I will say when we got home Sunday or Monday, I can't remember what day we got home, I collapsed, like totally collapsed. I didn't even know who I was anymore. So Austin, share with everybody what we've been up to.
So Safe and Found is the film that we've been working on for the last handful of months. And this past week, Julie and I went up to Northern Kentucky. If you follow us on Instagram, or you follow, I think I posted it on Side Trail Adventures. But anyways, on the gram, we posted a shot of the Cincinnati skyline in the background. And so that's kind of where we were to film this interview. Probably, I mentioned it in our live when we finished that day. Like, for us as creators, it was like the Super Bowl of interviews. Unbelievable. The person that we talked to, I have such a tremendous amount of respect for, and I literally have no words.
Yeah, it was a very emotional interview. Straight up from the first 3 seconds when we started talking to this person. So
you'll have to wait for the film to come out
Sorry,
to actually
folks.
see the footage. But absolutely amazing. So we went up to Northern Kentucky, did that on Thursday. I had to come back to Raleigh to work on Friday. So I drove, it was pretty much a round trip, or a one-night trip for me. Worked Friday, and then I got on the road Friday night to drive up to meet you again in Elkins, West Virginia, which is, if you're looking at nowhere, it's just to the right of nowhere.
Don't say that.
No, it took me 2.5 hours from when I left the interstate. So it was 2.5 hours of constant winding roads to get there. But awesome.
I didn't know where I was, honestly. I had no idea.
One of the things, and I got this when I went with the River Kings to do the Greenbrier River through paddle. But again, when we were up this past weekend, like West Virginia, holy smokes,
beautiful,
unbelievably beautiful. And so we were up there all day Saturday, and we're doing some work with the West Virginia Scenic Trails Association and doing some videos for the Allegheny Trail. So I am sporting.
I know. Look at you go.
Hat and an Allegheny Trail T-shirt to represent my new friends in West by God, Virginia. So
that's what they call it. You know, we always try to outdo each other on these episodes. So he thought he was going to outdo me tonight with that hat, that T-shirt.
Lay it on me.
So we've been busy, and a good busy. It's always awesome to be busy and doing something that brings you joy and fun. And we met some amazing people this weekend. And I'm telling you guys right now, the Allegheny Trail, if you want a 311-mile trail that is going to give you an amazing experience, and you guys, these people have been building this trail, I mean, since early 1970s, if not earlier. And we met actually 2 gentlemen that have been building that trail, since the late 70s, 80s through the 90s. And the first thing they said to us was, please we want hikers.
Yeah.
We want people to be part of this community.
It's such a hidden gem that I just don't think a lot of hikers know about. So it's on far out. But I just don't think it's getting the love that it deserves.
No. So we're going to give it some love, some Yellow Blaze love.
That's it.
So, all right. Well, that story is to be continued as of right now. But you know how Austin and I roll. We are taking the month of July off for the podcast. But you never know. Don't be surprised if we don't pop up again. You never know. And I've already got some ideas for that show. I want Austin to show off his new equipment backpack he got that he carried all over the place on the Allegheny Trail. It was awesome. And so I've got some ideas for that. But right now, we are getting ready to bring our guest on, and I'm really excited to have Heidi on the show. So remember, I showed you, the Wonderland Trail, right? So I met Heidi at a place here in Charlotte called Blue Blaze Brewing, and I didn't realize, I actually ended up interviewing Heidi for the Jester Section Hiker podcast. So Heidi, remember it here first. You were on episode 4.5 of the Jester Section Hiker podcast, which now
It was
I'm
a half
up.
an episode.
I know. She was 4.5 because I was like, well, I already got something else scheduled, so I'll make her 4.5. So that's how our relationship started off. But I saw that Heidi, actually, you could commission art pieces from her. And I want to make sure I get this up here right. So remember, you guys, I was hot off the Wonderland Trail. And it was no other trail ever in this world except the Wonderland Trail in my mind. I know, I broke up with the Appalachian Trail. I mean, it was yeah, I know, crazy. So I had this picture that I just thought was totally hilarious. So I'm going to try to show it to you guys so you can see it. So Heidi, I'm going to cover, I don't know if can you see the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good.
Look how good it is. So I show this picture to Heidi. So this is me actually sitting on a privy, looking out over the Wonderland Trail. It was actually, I can't remember the name of the glacier. And so I handed this to Heidi and I said, I want you to make me a piece of art.
That is gold, right?
Is this not
fantastic.
gold or
That's
what?
Awesome.
So my girlfriends and I have said, oh, I need the map because, I really want to point out, where I'm looking at from the map. So how awesome is that? Yeah. So this is my treasured item from our guest this evening. And, I see Heidi a couple times a year, and she's a hustler. She has started her small business, Sketching Summits. I'm literally, she's hustling at all these festivals. Every time I turn online, she's showing her art somewhere. And Austin and I had an amazing conversation with her recently at North Carolina Trail Days, and we're going to get into that conversation maybe just a little bit at the end. But Heidi embodies exactly the individual, I'm going to go ahead and bring her on, that we want to have on this show.
Yeah.
Somebody who has a love for the trail, a love for outdoors, and because of being inspired by the outdoors, has created their own small business. So Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for that great introduction.
I know, and look at the art behind you. Oh, there
you go.
So did you remember doing this piece?
I did, yes. And I can't believe I didn't remember it when you were teasing me earlier. But yes, absolutely. Yeah, because we just talked about it at Trail Days too. So it's a pretty memorable one.
And when I got this back, I was like, oh my God, she nailed that privy. Like, and a lot of the Wonderland Trail, several of, they're really campsites, and you have to have reservations, kind of like the John Muir Trail. It's like the coveted, golden ticket. And a lot of the campsites have those no wall privies, so you can get the beautiful view no matter what you're doing. So I was like, I want to commemorate that forever. So if nobody ever thought
get the view, and so does everyone else.
Exactly. So if nobody thought I was yeah. So if nobody thought I was hiker trash, I am now. I declare it.
Good times.
Oh wait, River King Pete says he needs some River King art. So there you go. I'm hooking you up, Heidi.
There you
Absolutely. Go. Slide into my DMs. Let's go.
So with all this being said, Heidi, you set out on this journey to hike the Appalachian Trail, but I don't think that's where you've been into art for a long time. So I get excited and I want to be all the way at the end because I just want, to tell everybody what you're doing now. But part of what we like to do on the show is people give their origin story. So I'm going to turn it over to you so you can kind of fill us in on how all this got started.
So my mom will tell you that I have been doing art since I ruined her white couch with magic markers when I was like 2.
That is the
definitely, best. It was abstract expressionism, So, sorry, I just yanked my phone there. So I have definitely been more inclined to, I grew up in a very athletic family, and I was always I would say probably a little bit more of the black sheep, more inclined to lock myself in the room and read or draw or something else that was
I don't know.
more
Oh, wait.
solitary.
Oh, my goodness. I have messed this all up. There we go.
There.
Please continue.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So I have been painting and drawing forever. I got a little bit more into it about middle school. I think that was like what my friends were doing, and you just started to do it a little bit more independently and outside of, once school, you start learning like algebra and stop doing art projects. I was like, well, I'm just going to keep doing art projects on my own. And went on to get my Bachelor of Fine Arts from Winthrop University, which is in Rock Hill. So it's just south of Charlotte in South Carolina. And so I studied painting and drawing, or painting and printmaking in college, and really had I remember saying multiple times, like, I have no intention of being an artist when I grow up. I just don't know what I want to be. And art sounds like more fun to go to school for than anything else. So I'll get my degree and then who knows what I'll do after. And that's not a great plan. So I had like 2 or 3 years of just kind of like spiraling out of control post college, and then found the Appalachian Trail, decided to do that as kind of, I called it my quarter life crisis. And I kind of broke up with art for a few years between college and hiking the AT. I just didn't really know what to do or how to do it or how to incorporate that time into my life, since I was working a full-time job, and there just wasn't the motivation there. And so on the AT, kind of last minute decided to, well, I knew I was going to take a sketchbook, and then last minute decided to take watercolors as well. And I never worked in watercolor before, and just started painting on trail and managed to keep up the habit through the duration of the whole hike. So I filled 2 sketchbooks and kept a little trail log as well. And then came back and had an opportunity to like make and showcase artwork from the AT, and then it sold. And that was an unheard of concept for me. I'd never sold any of my art before. And so then I started realizing, like, you can find this subject matter that's a common ground between myself and the experiences that I've had and all of the experiences that everybody else in the hiking community has had. And if you paint this picture of this place and it reminds them of their experience there, they're going to like it, and they're going to respond well to it, or they're going to want to commission their own paintings and stuff. And so that's what I've been doing for the last, I thru hiked 5 years ago. So for the last 5 years, I've kind of been developing on that path.
And quite the path it's been. Austin, it looked like you were getting ready to say something.
I was going to ask about that sketchbook from the AT. Have you still got it? I would
Oh,
presume
yeah.
you've still got it.
Yeah, it's right over there. I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, that's like prize possession for sure. Couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
I had the whole thing scanned and on my website as well, so anybody else can
Nice.
look through and read my emotional misspelled frustrations that I jotted alongside the drawings.
So that kind of when Julie first told me about you, and you and especially when you just mentioned the sketchbook, like, so you do a lot of you're still out in the outdoors a whole bunch. Does that sketchbook or a form of sketchbook come out with you every time?
Yeah, so I've since done a few shorter trails. I did the Superior Hiking Trail in 2020, we attempted the CDT in 2021. So I had sketchbooks for both of those because I like it being a book to capture the journey. But for a lot of the shorter trips I'll do, and I did this when I hiked the Pinhoti Trail last year, I carry loose pieces of paper that are cut to 5x7, like the size of a postcard. And what was cool about the Pinhoti is every time I got trail magic or a trail angel presented themselves or somebody did something kind for me, I was able to return the favor with a painting. So I just kind of,
awesome.
would do them as I go, and then just, had them there. And it was really cool because people will go out of their way, especially on a small trail like the Pinhoti that's not as many people know, and they don't get that many hikers. And it was, you don't have anything to give back to these people, and you can offer money, and of course they don't want it, and I'll trail angel and I don't want your money either, but it's a cool moment and it's a cool experience, and as a hiker, I come away with something, and as a trail angel, it's just nice to be able to kind of reciprocate that. And it is crazy how like the universe just collides you with the right people at the right time. I did a painting of Blue Mountain Shelter, had a great conversation with a woman and gave her that painting, and then ran into her again later, and she was just like, I couldn't say this at the time because I was too emotional about it, but like that shelter is really important to me. My first backpacking trip there was with a friend who took me out, and then she's since passed away. And so it's just like this really, like I'm so glad that I was able to give you this, momentum of this experience that you had with somebody who's really close to you, that obviously impacted you. And like a really good, and I didn't even know that. I was just like, cool, you seem nice here. Have a painting. Have a great day. So one or the other, either a sketchbook or a loose paper.
What a perfect way to reciprocate trail magic. Like, I don't think there's a better way to do it. Like you said, nobody wants money. Nobody's doing anything for money. But what a perfect way to say thank you.
And on the CDT, I carried a sketchbook, and I did still carry a few like loose pieces. And then I got trail magic once. I drew out like, the people sitting under the shade and drinking apple juice or whatever it was, and gave that to the trail angel. And he was really enthusiastic about that. In Pie Town, I painted the interior of the cafe, and I did it in my sketchbook. I couldn't tear it out. It was like a 2-page, and there was stuff on the backs, but I let her scan it and print out a copy of the scan to just have in her shop as well.
Awesome.
You got little pieces of art like everywhere.
My brother pointed out recently, like, he's like, you're like the opposite of a minimalist. You're like a maximalist. And it's just like every kind of corner of my house, if I have a piece of painting or art or something that can kind of fit in that little square, it's like, it's going to go there.
Well, this is more like I'm very ignorant when it comes to art, visual art and that kind of thing. But like, so I have nothing to compare with Julie's Privy painting.
Nope.
But I do have one of your MST stickers.
You have props too.
But one of the things that jumped out at me for all of your work is that every piece is unique, but it's still got your style. Like, I can look at it and be like, yeah, Heidi, that's one of Heidi's pieces. Like, how does that develop? I mean, does that kind of come over time, or how do you choose it? Like, how does that artistically, how does that
absolutely
evolve?
So before the AT, I was working at a paint and sip studio, and like the work I did in college is so very different. And I was working at this paint and sip studio, so that kind of had some influence of like, a little bit more illustrative styles. And I found some other artists on Instagram, and I never painted nature or landscapes before. So of course I was very influenced by these other artists, and specifically like hiking outdoorsy artists and how they captured it. And I think I can see that in kind of some of the earlier work that I'm doing, like, like, oh, like you were influenced by this person, you were influenced by that person. You can see it in the way that I attempt to draw or stylize like leaves or trees or flowers or something. And then eventually, just like the more you do it, there's no need for that. Like, I mean, I still definitely love exploring other artists and seeing their work and like being inspired by it, but it like you said, it just develops. It just completely develops on its own, and you kind of don't have to think about it. It's just second nature. It's like, I tried to paint the flower. That's how it turned out. I'm using reference photos or painting from real life, and so it's just doing my best to make it look like the thing. And also the more I paint kind of the same subject matter too, like I paint rhododendrons a lot, and so I don't even have to look at a reference photo for that anymore. I just do it, and it turns out the same every single time.
What was the catalyst that really made you turn? Was it COVID? What started this? Wow. Okay. Because I remember when you were building your website. So you built a website, you turned this into a business. You had to go through, the initial stages of, I don't know if you did an LLC. I don't know if you ran to the bank and got a business account. Like, I remember you posting about, oh my God, I'm supposed to do taxes. So walk us through, I call it the ugly, or, the stuff that nobody wants to do. So when did you make that initial decision, and how was that for you, like the business side of things?
So definitely gradual, up to a certain point, and there was a lot of like, I was working full time at the brewery. And so it was just kind of like, when I had the opportunity, when I could take it, I would take it. And then I got so I guess kind of two things. I got the job for Blue Ridge Hiking Company, formerly Jennifer Farr Davis's company, now owned by Lindsay Barr in Asheville, based out of Asheville, North Carolina. So I guide for them, and that kind of shifted my schedule a little bit. That was like the dream job for me. And so as a result, because of the inconsistency of that schedule, stepped back from my role at the brewery a little bit more, and then had kind of, had to fill in the holes of this time of what do you do between, 2-week-long trips when you have 3 weeks off. And then additionally, we hiked the CDT. My husband broke his arm at 700 miles and we came home, obviously. So we came home a lot earlier, and we had been planning that trip that was supposed to be Te Araroa in New Zealand in 2020, and then COVID. And so CDT was like our plan, like plan C, like it wasn't even our original plan. And that happened. And I'm just like, I guess we got to go back to work. We've been sitting here like a version of unemployed for like, I mean, not really, but yes, for like just kind of in limbo for a year and a half. And so we came back from that. And then also, like, quite frankly, I just had my little adventure fund that I had set aside for the CDT. And it takes money to start a business. You have to stock up your inventory and get all the prints and stuff. So I was like slowly chipping away at that. But then I was like, okay, we're going to take this money. We're going to get prints done. We're going to get stickers done. We're going to just go ahead and have enough of an inventory. And when you saw me at North Carolina Trail Days last year, that was the first art festival that I had done. And so a year of that under my belt, had my website up a little bit sooner than that. But yeah, I sat down and figured out like, I don't have an LLC, I have a sole proprietorship, but yeah, what is sales tax? How do I charge it? How do I make sure that I am like doing everything correctly and by the books at least as much as I know how to. And like, it's not like, I don't know how to do that. I don't have a business degree. I have an art degree. So it's been, some parts have been easier to learn than I anticipated. But then some parts have been like, I think a lot of it has just kind of been like, what do you invest in? Like, what products do you order? And then you order this product and it might be super popular. And so you order 20 more and then you realize everybody already bought it and nobody else is going to buy it, And so figuring out which way is the best direction for the money and which way is the best investment for my time. And I get really, I want everything I create to be super special and super unique and different. And then sometimes eventually realize like I might be sitting here hand cutting out flowers to put onto greeting cards and stuff. And it's like, well, that took you 20 minutes and your profit on that is $2. So maybe we don't do that anymore. So you just kind of stubbornly do it for like a few months until I'm like, this isn't, like it's fun. I want to do it, but it changes the perspective when you're a little bit more, you're trying to make an income rather than just have it being a side hustle. You have to be a little bit smarter about it. So we're still figuring that out.
So what's your percentage? Like percentage, working on sketching summits, percentage guiding, percentage doing, independent prints for people, and, working any other side hustles you got?
So mostly it's just those two now. I still help out at the brewery every once in a while and I lead our hiking club there. But it's kind of all over the place this past winter. So guiding is seasonal. It's March through October. And this past winter was my first winter only doing art, only kind of having that as my income, partially because we took our honeymoon. We were gone for a month to Guatemala. And so it just kind of didn't make sense for me to put another job where other people needed me and my time into the mix. So just, oh my gosh, it just varies so much from month to month. May was a really big art month. June's been a really big guiding month. All over the place. I just kind of have to plan it out a few months ahead of time. Some months are really big on the art festivals. And then like in May, I did a mural for the Appalachian Trail Conservancy in Damascus. So that was, that was a big thing for that month,
Well, don't skip over that. Tell everybody about that.
That was definitely something I wanted to talk about. I'm glad you brought it up. Talk about what happened or how you.
That was great. Do you want the story of how I ended up with the position or about the mural? Okay.
The mural. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to think of a slightly more abbreviated version of it, but a really wonderful woman named Donna out of Damascus hosts an event called Shop Till You Drop. It's a quarterly festival. And she reached out and asked me to come out for this September one and was like, your work would do well. We would love to have some, trail-related artists here. And that date coincided with my wedding. And so I was like, I'll come to the next one, which was December. And I thought about it and I was like, well, hikers aren't really in Damascus in December. And how much do the locals care about the AT or are they over it? But I was like, I'm just going to go. Like, I don't know how it'll be. And it was a fine weekend, but there's a lot of resources and time and opportunities that are missed by going to these things. So I went to this festival and it was good. Like, it was fine, but mostly I was like, we're here to schmooze. Like, we're here to like talk to people in Damascus and make sure that they know who I am and figure out how I can, get artwork here, especially during trail days and during through hiking season, and just kind of explore the opportunities that are here. And Donna was great and introduced me to a number of different people. I got introduced to the folks over at the distillery as well, and they let me hang up some artwork for well over a month leading into trail days. And then I got introduced to Emily over at the Trail Center, which was in its first year of being there. And so then I just wrote to her and was like, hey, can I like use your gallery space? Can I hang up some work during trail days? And she was like, well, we don't really know, what we're doing with that space or how to regulate that right now, but we need a mural artist. Do you want to just paint a 26-foot wall for us? And I was like, yes,
hello.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. So that's kind of how that, which is exactly what I think I see a lot of other artists get out there and be like, exposure doesn't pay the bills, and get really sassy about it. But it does. Like, it, if you give the time and the space to kind of talk to the right people and be in the right place at the right time, there might not be a great something to come from it in that exact moment, but that doesn't mean it won't come later on down the road. So it's just like a matter of being like patient and just hopeful that I put myself in front of the right people, which I did. So that mural is on the side of, when you're walking down Main Street, if you're coming into town as a northbounder, the Trail Center is on your left, right by the Dollar General. And then they have like a garden in their front yard, a sign for the ATC, and then behind that garden is a garage that they use for their trail maintenance tools and volunteer workshops and stuff. And so you see this big gray wall as you're walking in behind their sign, and people are stopping to take pictures of the sign, and they're just like, we need something prettier there. So there is now a scene of Grayson Highlands with ponies and blooming rhododendron, and Fabio, the famous pony Fabio, is featured.
Yes.
Very important. I had multiple people ask, like, where's Fabio? You're putting Fabio in there, right? Like, yes. And I did that for the days leading up to trail days, and then stayed for the festival. So it was a good long. I was in Damascus, I think, for 11 days. I was like, I'm a local.
It's a tough
They know
life.
me at the diner.
You struggled with that mural too, though, a little bit, because I know you ended up having somebody else with you. Because I was just, enamored on your Instagram. I was like, is she going to finish it in time? What's happening?
Did it seem that stressful on Instagram?
Well, it seemed like you were stressed. Yeah. You were like, I would have never made this.
Yeah. So I definitely, and I talked to some of my friends who do murals, and they're like, give yourself more time. And I was like, okay, it should take 3 days, so I'll give myself 5. And no, it takes 10. Like, give yourself a lot more time. And so this was a cool story. This was super serendipitous. I had been in Hot Springs the week prior guiding, went out to lunch just on my own before the clients got there, and was sitting like alone, just like eating my sandwich. And there was some thru hikers at the table next to me, and I was just eavesdropping accidentally on their conversation. And then I was in Damascus and at the cafe, and I see one of these people that had been in Hot Springs, and it was probably a little creepy of me, but I just went up to them and was like, hey, I saw you in Hot Springs. Like, I recognize your tattoos, and I was eavesdropping on your conversation. And they're just like, okay. But they were super friendly, and they're like, so are you thru hiking in the overalls that you're wearing right now? Like, why are you in town? And we got to chatting, and I was telling them what I did. They were telling me that they, where they were from, what they had been up to, and that they have a degree from Savannah College of Art and Design and a background in art. And then, I was kind of like low key interviewing them, as I was like, oh, so do you have any painting experience? Like, do you have a sketchbook that you've been keeping, and can I look at it? And so finally, and then they were telling me, like, they had had an injury in their foot. They wanted to take off 3 or 4 days leading up to trail days, just to give themselves, kind of a 5-day break before getting back on trail to heal up a little bit. And we're hoping to find some odd jobs in Damascus so that they didn't just like blow through their money while they were sitting there. So I was like, can I request a hand? And so I thought I just needed their help for a day, but they gave me 3 full days, like 10-hour days of painting, and did a phenomenal job and had some really great additions, and was kind of able to address some areas of the painting that I was just kind of going to be like, okay, that's just going to be green and we're going to call it a day. And they're like, no, I'll put some trees in there and stuff like that. So their help was just like insurmountable, and so serendipitous that the trail was just like, here is an artist who is looking for a job and has nothing else to do for the next 3 days, and was incredible company, and we got along great. And it was just absolutely perfect that they showed up.
Well, the trail provides. Yeah.
I was going to say, when people say the trail provides, they're thinking about like good weather or a water source, or just a fully educated and trained artist.
I just need to like
a mural.
Move to Damascus and just like be close to Main Street at all times and just see what pops up that I need in life.
That's what Neville always says at Woods Hole. Like, if something electrical will break down or the water pipe will burst, and next thing you know, a plumber and electrician come down the trail, like, and want to do like work for stay. So somehow that stuff always seems to work out. One of the things I want to ask you, we do have a question in the chat. You've been hustling and going to festivals. I know you've been down at Pinhoti Fest. I know you've been at Damascus Trail Days, NC Trail Days, putting your artwork up for realty companies, and you've done really well. So talk about just, when did you decide, okay, I got to create a booth? Because I'll be honest with you, your booth is like one of the best ones I've seen. I mean, it makes me want to come in there and buy all kinds of stuff. So bravo on that. So when did you decide, and tell everybody about your van.
Oh, okay. So your first question, yes, and I forget who it was or what their name is, but they reached out to me last year about NC Trail Days, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll get the tent, and I'll get the table and the table, and the tablecloth and the little display thing. So it's like something I knew I wanted to do and just hadn't sat down and looked at festivals to apply for yet. NC Trail Days reached out to me first, and I was like, this is perfect. This will be my excuse to jump into this. And thank you. That's very kind. I feel like I'm just like grabbing things from my house that as a basket I can put prints in, and that's a basket I can put stickers in. I did just have like a upgrade recently. So I'm going to Art in the Park in Asheville this weekend if it doesn't get rained out, and kind of got some new furniture and new stuff to kind of make it a little bit more inviting. And I'm in a Facebook group about like booth displays and trying to like figure out the best way to kind of draw customers in. The other part, when he broke his arm on the CDT and we went back to his family's in Boulder, so we ended up staying in Boulder for a while trying to just figure out what was next and seeing the doctors there since his insurance was based out of Colorado anyways. We were sad and we were bored and we were on Facebook Marketplace and we were looking at vans, and we went and toured one. It was too expensive. I came home for a few days to kind of visit with some family and stuff, as long as we were just sitting around, and he stayed in Boulder waiting for the next doctor's appointment. And he called me and he was just like, look at this one that I found, and I'm going to go look at it. And it's a 1991 GMC Vandura. And it's got a pop-up top. It's factory built as a like van, you can't say conversion because it wasn't converted, factory built as a camper van. So pop-up top, and the bed is in the top. Downstairs you have two couches that face each other that can also fold out into a bed. So I have a guest room, and then 10-gallon water tank, sink, 2-burner stove, a fridge, and solar. And I was just like, screw it. You're sad and pouting. I'm sad and pouting. Let's get us a toy. And so we bought the van. I flew back to Colorado. We drove it out, and we just kind of thought we were going to have it as this like toy to have occasionally and probably not use. And 2 years later, we'll probably sell it. And if it doesn't break first. And it has been the most useful thing for me doing the art festivals, because A, all that stuff doesn't fit into my car comfortably. And B, I'm in Charlotte, and most of the artwork I do is not, like, I don't do well at the Charlotte markets. I do well at the Asheville markets in Western North Carolina and up in the mountains. And so I have to travel a lot for it. And so now I can travel and not have to incur the expense of a hotel or a place to stay, get a campground, stay in the van, and then just like have my little mobile art art shop going on in there, and have gotten to do, like, we did a week just kind of putzing up and down the Blue Ridge Parkway. I was scouting trails for guiding, and we would hike in the morning, and then go to the overlooks and just sit at the overlooks, and I would just paint for like 5 or 6 hours. My husband and I spent a week doing that. That was actually the week that he proposed to me. It was like right after he got his cast off, and I got a whole body of work out of just like that experience. So it just makes, living away from the mountains, it makes the mountains a lot more accessible, and it makes some of these opportunities. So for the mural, I stayed in the van all week. And I mean, I was able to, like, it's just so much more affordable. It's so much more affordable that way. And it makes, when somebody comes to me and gives me a project to do, it makes it so I don't have to charge them $100 per day for me to stay at a hotel or something. I can cut that cost down for them as well.
I'm still getting over the sad, bored, and Facebook Marketplace. It's like a very expensive combination.
Yeah, don't do
it. You've been able to turn it into something. So that's awesome.
Well, listen, I'm not over the Facebook Marketplace pages for decorating a booth.
Yeah, there's a group for everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, listen, the chat is abuzz. I've been putting these out on the screen, but I am sure you have not been able to read these as you're talking. So Jason Smith, who is also a North Carolinian, says, got that same sticker at a couple places. I think he's talking about the Mountains of Sea Trail. Alonda has a question. There you go. Boots on the Trail says your NC Trail Days booth was definitely one of the best. Alonda says she could never resist your booth. And Stella, who is Stephanie, by the way, says that booth took a bunch of my money. So
you got mine too. I picked up coasters, all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh yeah, show those again. Those are cool.
Yeah. So this is one of your sets. So there's each one is different. So this is the first two. If I can get those straight, something like that. And then here's the other. Here's the other two.
I mean, well, now that we're having a Heidi Fest. oh, look at me showing the River King. Jesus.
If we've still got Pete in here, I'm sure he appreciates that.
There you go. Trail Days, baby. Picked up that one. I love this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm putting that one on I haven't had a chance to I have it right here too.
Yeah, don't worry, Heidi. We're just showing all your stuff. Everywhere. I love this one too. Everywhere is walking. That is so true. Yeah, is there anything else? Wait a minute. I do have one more thing, but I don't think we're there yet. I do want to ask you Alonda's question. She asks, is there any area, type of art, subject, or media you want to expand or play around with in the future?
I would love to. So in college, I painted with oils, and I would love to go back into oils or acrylics. And what I would really, really love to do is get back into printmaking, which was the other half of my major. I just don't have the materials for it. And it's like I could, but at the end of the day, I'd kind of have to sit down and do, like, if I were to get back into oils, I'd have to do like 2 or 3 throwaway paintings before I could get one that I would like, And so it's just been like, do I really have the time to explore and play and learn? Or, I kind of feel like I'm still at the point and enjoying it too, being able to kind of really hone in on watercolor and work with that. I think printmaking for sure would be a really fun and versatile process to get back into. We have a really great artist residency program in North Carolina called Penland. I think it's Boone-ish area. It's in Western North Carolina, and that's been on my radar since college. And one of these days I would like to, sit down and take the application seriously for I think they do like 2 or 3 week residencies with these really phenomenal facilities. So that would be great one day.
You have to break it down for me, Barney style. When you say printmaking,
printmaking?
Talk about it.
Okay. No, that's a fair question. I'm sorry, and I should have clarified.
No. Like I said, that's good.
Think like pre-digital printing. So relief printing would probably be the most easy to explain, where you have like a linoleum block and you carve it out and you essentially make a large stamp. You run it through the press, and then you can do it, and you can do it in layers. So you'd print the blue, and then you'd print the orange, and then you print the outline. There are several different kinds. Screen printing, what you would know for t-shirts, that's what I did a lot of screen printing in college. I can and do digitally reproduce my paintings, have prints made of them from somebody else who puts it on a machine and it goes through a printer. But there's just like a kind of stylistic element that you're able to achieve when you switch mediums. And so I think it'd be fun to explore. I really like the style and the line work that you're able to get with linoleum block cutting, and the process of like recreating, making your own additions, making your own reproductions, rather than sending them through a printer would be fun.
Very cool.
I just don't have a press.
Complications.
Yeah.
So we have a couple questions. One just popped up from Craig Maines or Hawk. He says, would you paint a van fridge?
A van, like a fridge and a van, is what I'm
I guess
assuming
a fridge in, like he's got a Sprinter van that he just totally redid, and I guess he's wanting
the fridge.
Yeah.
Well, my mom always taught me not to get in strangers' vans. But yes, I will.
That's generally
Absolutely, I will.
But it's generally
a good rule of thumb.
I'll stand up for Hawk on this one. It's Hawk. He's not a stranger, so he's cool.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he does have a beard. He has a beard.
No, absolutely. No, I was a little side story. I was just front country camping with the van with a friend and her daughter, her 3-year-old, this like a few weeks ago in the Smokies, and this other family with a bunch of young kids come up and they're like, "Hi, like we love your van. That looks so cool. Can we get in it?" And I was like, "Kids, don't go up to strangers and ask them to get in their vans. Like, go ask
a life lesson."
It's like just too easy. But yes, absolutely, I would love to paint a refrigerator in a van. That's a great project.
I'll hook
I'd love
y'all
to paint
up.
the whole van. Absolutely.
I mean, you've painted a mural on the side of a building. You've painted Julie on a privy. I think
yes,
the natural progression is van fridge.
Yes.
So dreams. Hawk, I'll hook you guys up. I'll send you her number. And the next one is Pam Danko says, ask her about her hiker trash stickers.
Oh, my trash trackers.
Oh, trash trackers. Where did I get stickers? I got sticker on my brain. Yeah, you need to go grab them.
First of all, what's up? I don't have them here because I send them all to other people. So basically what I do is, the Nat Geo makes the trail maps, that are long and skinny. Do you know what I'm talking about? We have them up at Blue Blaze.
Yep.
So when side note, at Blue Blaze, we have, I still do this on Tuesday nights. It's called Trail Talk. We hang out and we talk about trail at 6:30 on Tuesdays. It's super casual and informal, but it's been a really fun way of me gathering all the people from the hiking community in Charlotte and just kind of like, come hang out with us on Tuesdays. Have made some great friends. We've been doing it for 4 years. I'm just convincing everyone to hike a long distance trail, and then they do, and it's great. So what I started doing last year was I would just draw like a little caricature of the person. I would tell them, like, send me a picture of what your hiking outfit looks like. What pack are you using? Draw it out and kind of cut it out and laminate it. And then we put it on the map at the brewery. And then as we get updates from them every Tuesday, we move them up the trail.
Oh, that's so cool.
This year I put that, just out on Instagram. If you want one of these, let me know. And it's so fun to do, like, because I can get like your jewelry or, if you have a logo on your hat that you want incorporated, and just try to match it to you. People aren't my specialty, so maybe your face it's cartoon-ish, right? But I can just kind of make it look like you. Your friends or family back home can track you up the trail, and then you have your little hiker trash tracker for you when you come back home. You can use as part of whatever your scrapbook that you're going to make.
I need one of those. It would permanently be stuck somewhere, but I need one.
They're cute. They're cute.
So listen, I'm getting ready to hook you and Hawk up. So Hawk is going to be driving to Maine sometime or another because he's going to be starting south on the AT. So Hawk, you need to drive through Charlotte. We can meet at Blue Blaze. You can paint his van or the fridge or whatever he wants painted. That wouldn't take long, a day.
Especially if it's a mini. Yeah, that would just be
we need specs, Hawk. We could all have like an awesome time hanging out. And there you go. And I know, wait a minute, there's another thing you were doing. Weren't you painting people's dogs Not painting
Yes.
the dog physically, but giving them sketches. Sorry.
let's
no, okay.
specify.
Yeah.
She
yeah.
does not
Paintings of
paint
dogs.
people's dogs.
So that's another thing Blue Blaze has been doing. First Thursday, FUR Thursday, is like a kind of dog, dog friendly. I mean, the brewery's always dog friendly, but just get a day just for dogs, bring people out, And so I've been doing that as a live painting activity. I don't take dog portrait commissions outside of these live events. And that's a whole other story, but it's really fun to do the live painting. They're super quick and gestural. They are 30 to 45-minute paintings. And it's just like, you come up with your dog, I take a picture of your dog, you go have a beer, and you can like kind of watch the magic happen over my shoulder as I'm working on it. And then you have a painting of your dog to take home with you. So I'll be doing that again, whatever that first Thursday in July is, I'll be there doing that. And wouldn't mind doing a few more like live painting events like that. It's really fun to have kind of the energy of the room around you and the conversation and the feedback as you're going.
All right. The first Thursday in July, Stella and I will be there. We do not have a dog, but
I'm gonna stick up for Stella yet.
Yeah. Austin's been
Yes.
trying to give us one of his dogs he doesn't want. I said, I don't want that dog.
It's not that I don't want her. I think she deserves a better home than I can give her.
Oh, come on. All right. Stella is, oh, here we go. We could get one.
There it is.
So Hawk says his fridge is 2 foot by 3 foot.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. We're going to make this work. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
Easy
definitely.
peasy.
And in true Jester and Austin style, 53 minutes has gone by. We try to keep these to an hour, but yeah, whatever, right? But I do want to follow up with, here's my third prop. You ready? So you've also, yes. And this will lead to, Austin and I at NC Trail Days started looking through this book, and, it probably, I don't know, it may not be a book I would have bought, but it was because of your sketches. So tell everybody about this book.
So that is a book that an author reached out to me to commission me to illustrate it. Spoiler alert, the author is my father-in-law.
I take back anything that I didn't say properly, okay?
No, you're good. Yeah. What? No, you're good. No, but just that's how I have the connection, is it's my father-in-law. But he's a published author. This is his 5th novel, the one that you're holding.
That's very cool.
And so
That's cool.
he's
We
done
love
several.
you, Donald Sampson. You're the bomb.
We're huge fans. He did this. He had a trilogy that was very successful that he came out with a while ago, and then this was a book he had been working on, and then conveniently his son started dating an artist, and so we talked about, we sat down and talked about that, and I did the front and back cover, and then 5 full-page illustrations. It's a 5-part book. It's a young adult target audience, but I read it 187 times in order to illustrate it, and found it very entertaining every single time. Kind of fairy tale world inspired by Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm brothers, and follows its own like fairy tale plot line. So that's what that book is. And I am actually kind of just finished up illustrating a second book for him as well. Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
So that was a whole project. Very different from the kind of work that I normally do. It was a really fun challenge.
So just as you were out scoping people at Damascus Trail Days, trying to find somebody to work with you, Austin and I, we're working on this film, Safe and Found, with Nancy East, the Haywood County Search and Rescue Team. And for me, a component that we've been looking for are sketches and digital art. So I'm going to turn this over to Austin and see how much he wants to reveal. But we were trying to find a local artist, a North Carolinian, because our film is based on pretty much everybody in North Carolina. And we talked about you before, but I don't think Austin had seen some of your sketches like in person. So Austin.
Yeah, well, we haven't really had this conversation.
Yes, we have. No, I'm just saying. I'm saying you liked her artwork, her sketches that she showed us.
I absolutely love what we saw, what you had on display at NC Trail Days, and quite frankly, it got my gears turning in seventh gear. So we saw you. So we finished our stuff at the Reeves Theater, and we were walking down the street. Saw you, chatted with you for a while, and then we were going to lunch. And while we were chatting with you, I'm just taking it all in. I saw the books, I saw all the prints, obviously I saw coasters, and got my wheels turning about Safe and Found. And so, yeah,
we could leave it at that.
Yeah. So we'll just leave it at that. We still have to have some official conversations about it, but I can say that I absolutely love. I love the style. I just love the story. I mean, like Julie said at the very beginning, like, you are the quintessential Beyond the Trail podcast guest. Like, you have turned this love. So you've turned this love of something and your love of the outdoors, and you've kind of beautifully combined them into this. You can't have one without the other almost at this point. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. But I'm excited. I think one of the things we wanted to ask you about was if there's anything coming up for you, like events or anything that people can meet you, or I think you mentioned something about something in Asheville this weekend.
Yeah, I will be at Art in the Park in Asheville if it doesn't rain me out. Uncommon Market again in August in Asheville. But another great thing I would love to plug here is one of the trips that I guide for Blue Ridge Hiking Company is an itinerary that I created. It's a watercolor hike, and so it's a 3-day backpacking trip. It is the best hike that we offer, in my opinion, because we don't really hike at all. It's awesome. So it's a very we need time to paint. So we do a 1.5 miles out, set up base camp, paint a waterfall, and then have camp that night. The next day is a little bit longer. We do about a 4-mile hike up to the top of John Rock and paint the view of Looking Glass Rock from up there. Come back, have the opportunity for another waterfall, stay at the same base camp, so you're not carrying weight that whole day. And then on the third day, pack everything up and hike back. It's a really awesome itinerary, a great loop, a great place to go and hang out. And the trip comes with your own watercolors, your own sketchbook, and everything that you need to continue the practice back home. And it's a bit of a painting lesson, but mostly I just try to emphasize the importance of the practice of how it can serve you to paint in nature, how it's a meditative practice, how it's a mindfulness practice, how it's great for nature journaling and learning and observing your surroundings while you're outdoors, especially if you're getting into plant identification the other things that kind of go in that same vein. So it's a great trip. I do 2 a year. I do one in the spring and one in the fall. The one coming up in October is Indigenous Peoples Day weekend. So maybe it'll time up with some time off as well. So just plug that one in there. That would be I'd love to meet some people on that hike. That'd be great.
Well, here's a loaded question. Julie asked me this question gosh, it was probably a couple of years ago at this point. But when I was a lowly podcast guest, I'm just kidding. But she asked me about filming on trail. But she asked, how much time does filming take away from my hike? And so what I'm going to ask you is, how much does painting, because I had a certain response, and I'm just curious if you say the same thing or not. How much time does painting take away from your hike?
Oh gosh, it just depends. it adds so much more to the experience, and I think it,
ding, ding,
really,
ding, ding, ding.
And I think that with taking pictures and filming too, and it's like I don't do a whole lot, but like I'll make an Instagram reel, and it just makes you kind of stop and notice and sit down and film the snail for 30 seconds and see what he's doing, and so it's definitely a great observational experience, and I think it enhances the entire experience. I will say that like I'm not the biggest mile crusher out there by a long shot, but like I do like doing big days and I like doing long miles, and don't always want to sit down and paint. And so it's really on a long hike, it's just kind of a day-to-day thing, try to balance, and I just kind of listen. I don't, especially on the AT, I was forcing myself for a while, and I was like, this is not fun. If you don't want to paint, you don't paint today. And so sometimes I would go 5 or 6 days without painting, and then sometimes I would do 3 or 4 in a row. So just kind of letting myself make that as a day-to-day decision.
I was too late to hit this when you said the answer Austin wanted. So here you go.
There you go.
That was the answer I was hoping you were going to say. So that was perfect.
Yeah. Any form of the arts, any form of creating, or just whatever makes you feel more mindful. I have a friend who has her master's in music performance. She hikes with trombone. She takes her trombone out. She plays trombone to the cows on long distance through hike. She just started her PCT for her triple crown today. And it's just like, whatever your passions are, figure out a way to take it with you, incorporate that into your experience. You don't have to just be hiker trash. You can be hiker trash with a sketchbook, or hiker trash with a trombone.
That's fantastic.
And still sit on a privy. So there you go. Well, Heidi, this has been awesome. And thank you for taking time out of your evening. Thank you to everybody that joined us in the chat. Alonda says, yes, you have to let the inspiration take you and not force it. So, and that's a lesson that I learn all the time. You kind of forget that sometimes. So, but Heidi, hang on. I'm going to switch it back to me and Austin. Don't go anywhere because we want to chat with you after the show. Truly, truly, truly appreciate it. And do you have any parting words? Oh, yeah. Tell everybody where they find you, your Instagram, all that stuff.
I am Sketching Summits on Instagram, on TikTok when I am on TikTok, and on Facebook, and my website is sketchingsummits.com. And thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's a great chat, and really, really appreciate both of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. And Hawk says he'll be in touch. So
okay, we'll see you. Right. Can't wait to check out your van.
Awesome. So, me neither. I can't wait to see it either now. I mean, I'm part of this now, whether y'all like it or not.
Fan party. It's going to be great. I'll bring mine. It'll be fun.
Awesome. All right, Heidi, we'll be right back. Austin, another great episode.
Good times. I'm almost a little sad we're going to take a break in July, but we've got.
I know. Well, I have an idea.
Do tell.
I always have it. Well, I can't say it on air because then we'll be held to it.
That's
the
like
bad
being
thing.
loosey-goosey.
Yeah, that's how we roll. So we might be back in July. We might not be back in July. I do have a couple ideas, though. So we'll see what Austin says. He hasn't said no yet. So we shall see. But yeah, thanks you guys for joining us again this evening. Just a reminder, you could always find Jester Wallace Productions, everything we got going on YouTube. You can also, if you can't catch a live episode or be on YouTube, you can download the YouTube Music app and you can download the podcast there and listen to us in your car, on a hike, on a kayak trip, wherever, on a privy. So we shall leave it at that.
Especially on a privy.
Especially on a privy. So, all right, you guys, until we decide to come back, we'll sign off as always. Let me make sure I got my good screen here. Be safe out there, everybody.
And good times.